The next Deadpool movie is coming late this summer, and it's really the only opportunity for Marvel to get a win. They have been quite winless in the past, but one glaring omission to that is the exception that was James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, Marvel is indicating that after Deadpool and Wolverine, they're afraid. They're very afraid of James Gunn. We'll show you why right now. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel that explains entertainment, keeps you ahead of the culture curve, and in doing so shows you where society is going. Today we are going to explain what is happening with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We'll show you the actions that are happening regardless of the words that the Walt Disney Company might say. And folks, as we do this, remember that we do believe that Deadpool 3 will be a successful film. In fact, we think that because even its creators, even the writers behind it, have declared that they operated in a way that Marvel does not, and that they believed in that process, not in the new Marvel process. We also think it'll probably be successful because it's got Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and it was greenlit under Bob Chapek, not the current Disney administration. But to go back and show you exactly why Marvel needs a win, take a look at this list out of boxofficemojo.com. And folks, we're going to go back all the way to July 9th, 2021. And by this time, theaters were opening, people were back in, and well, things were going better and better after a pandemic that shut things down. Black Widow, though, only made $183 million at the box office that year. And that's after coming off a high of $858 million. These are domestic, $858 million for Avengers Endgame. And so just a very short time later, 2 years later, Black Widow making 183. And you might say, well, that's an exception. There was an argument about streaming and all of this stuff. Well, but then Shang-Chi came out. And Shang-Chi made $224 million. Again, about a quarter of the interest levels that people had for Endgame. And you might say, well, come on now. That was just a few months later and the pandemic was still raging and blah, blah, blah. Well, those blahs go to the eternal. And that was one blah of a movie. Maybe some might say it was a bleh of a movie. $164 million for that. 3 stinkers in a row, 3 strikes, you're out. But no, Sony came with a win with Spider-Man No Way Home, which pulled in $804 million. And Spider-Man No Way Home, of course, again, all of these domestic numbers, the global box office much better. But Spider-Man No Way Home really proved that the arguments for the prior 3 films were a bunch of, shall we say, bunk. And why do we say that? Well, because Spider-Man No Way Home came out in the same year that folks were saying, oh, it's the post-pandemic era. We're being crippled by people afraid to go to theaters, except that Spider-Man No Way Home became a phenomenon all over the world. And domestically, it made $804 million off an opening of $260 million. By the way, that opening for Spider-Man No Way Home, big enough just on the opening weekend that it beat the entire lifetime domestic gross for all 3 films prior. Why does this matter, folks? Well, let's get to it. Let's explain. After that, we had a slight bump from the Spider-Man No Way Home effect. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, you get the idea. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever did quite well because it was an anthem movie. It was a legacy movie honoring the life of Chadwick Boseman. But when we get to the situation of this past year, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, only $214 million, back into that same kind of category. The Marvels, even worse at $84 million. In other words, 1/10 of the interest levels of Endgame. But one movie did stand out as being an exception, an exceptional film, and even that, despite the fact that it was quite dire, negative, depressing, and all the rest. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was tonally quite different than the other Guardians, and yet people went out and supported it enough that it probably was a break-even movie. James Gunn, the person who helmed that film, now gone. And after Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel does not have another film in any sort of vein that might draw audiences on the roster, on the slate. So what's happening? What's the action that's taking place that lets us know that Marvel is truly afraid of James Gunn? We'll take a look at this out of Bounding Into Comics by Jacob Smith. Rumor, Marvel Studios to delay Blade for the 4th time to prevent Fantastic Four from competing against DC's Superman legacy. Folks, I'm here to tell you, it looks like nobody really believes in superhero fatigue because, well, no one believes that Superman will be fatigued. If James Gunn can produce something good, Marvel wants out of the way. Actions speak louder than words. Here's the article. There's been a lot of behind-the-scenes news about the upcoming MCU film Blade, and none of it has been good. Unfortunately for Disney, it looks like that trend is going to continue, as rumors seem to suggest that the film may be hit with yet another delay, after being plagued with months' worth of production issues. Having already been delayed in 3 occasions, it appears one of Marvel Studios' own upcoming films that will cause the project to get another push back. According to industry insider Jeff Schneider, Marvel and Disney might reschedule the release of Fantastic Four, that Pedro Pascal classic, which is expected to hit movie theaters on July 25th, 2025, and move it up to November of that same year, which is when Blade was initially expected to release. Folks, what does this mean? Well, this film, this Fantastic Four, which is supposed to be part of that returning to the legacy icons, the pillars of Marvel, and getting those characters that people love and know back on the big screens, well, they're afraid of Superman. They're afraid of DC. They're afraid of James Gunn. And Pedro Pascal is not going to save them from that. Fandom Wire reports that this movie is done in an effort to avoid competing with James Gunn's Superman Legacy, which is scheduled to be released just 2 weeks before Fantastic Four, set to debut DC's new cinematic universe on July 11th, 2025. Hold the phone, folks. They're not delaying. They're not moving. They're not shifting the schedule because they're releasing date and date the same. They're not afraid that in a direct head-to-head they're going to lose or that it's going to take some of the box office away. They're afraid because there's a 2 weeks difference. In other words, they're afraid that they're going to be defeated by a film that has been out for 2 weeks. Look out! Marvel has found its kryptonite. Snyder says that Marvel could give up Blade's November 7th, 2025 spot, pushing the Ali-led project back to 2026. Blade's production has been met with nothing but turmoil since the film's announcement back in 2019 during the San Diego Comic-Con. And yes, when your lead actor attempts to walk off the set and leave the project because of virtue signaling where he can no longer even be the star, allegedly, yes, you have turmoil, you have issues. But folks, James Gunn has struck fear into the hearts of Marvel, into Kevin Feige, into the very heart of the House of Mouse, such that they need to get their movies now moved around DC. Listen to that again. That's the lesson to be learned here. We have watched this play out before our very eyes. We have paid close attention as their movies have continued to either not break even or flop terribly. Every once in a while they get a win with a special event kind of film, but they have never said out loud, oh, we have messed up, we have lost the audience, the MCU sent us into a Phase 5 dive, and the Phase 6 is very sick. They've never said those kinds of things, but their actions now speak louder than any press release ever would. They need to shuffle now around the big kahuna that is James Gunn. It's not the Guardians of the Galaxy that he controls. It's Superman. It's Batman. And oh, by the way, it's not the Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League version of Batman. These are going to be characters that you can identify with. Characters who are heroic. And James Gunn, well, I don't know how he'll do with DC. I don't know if he'll be successful. But Warner Brothers has every single reason to want to be successful, given the rumors we've been hearing that Warner Brothers might be up for sale soon. And by the way, we broke that on this channel last year in a video right here when nobody could understand what was going on when they released the phases of the new DCU. We explained that it's because of wanting to sell Warner Brothers. Folks, we're going to have way more information on that, but just know that Warner Brothers is hungry and Disney is in decline. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. When you click it, you do stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And keep coming back, folks, for more videos of pure, unadulterated entertainment excellence. As we continue to keep you ahead of that culture curve, it's a joy to do so. And of course, every time you watch, you are the gigawatts. Folks, make sure you check out the Pro Show live Tuesday at noon Eastern. And if you're not yet a member of the channel, click that little join button. For the price of a soda per month, you get access to all kinds of intensely entertaining and interesting content that only members can view. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Listen up, my brothers and sisters. You've been listening to fills and those with an agenda to destroy your brain cells for far too long. It's time to change your way of doing things. TPP is the place to be. Covering the news, so honestly, it's a team that's cool and tried and true. Ahead of the culture curve, they're trying to keep you. Jonas and Pro, they run the show, and they dragged in the bearded culture casino. You got Valiant and Lord and Fourth of Light. Wonderful people, yeah, they're alright. They got weird bringing in people like Floral, but made no mistake with Lorena Creole. Amelia and John, stuttering guitarist. Martin and Tawny and someone called CMS. Fat Steven makes a bunch of all the graphics. Did I mention a partnership with Bending in the comics? Fat Sky is a guy and Doc Matt does the web stuff. There's probably some people I missed. I hope they're not telling you the news. That should be fun. With accurate info that's not been spun. You can figure it out as you will see. The TPP is the place to be.
Yeah, Wilton. That was actually pretty good, or White. But I think you might have forgotten Vash.
Well, he lost all his friends. But it was implied.